Welcome back in Inside the Game. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky here on Monday, episode 276 on the National Soccer Network. I don't know if you were trying to play the horn there. I didn't hear it. It
Oh,
wasn't coming through if it did, but
it
that's all
came
right.
through my it came through my
Oh,
headphones.
oh, it came
So
through the headphones? Okay, so maybe it came through on the live side of things if anybody's watching us live here on the National Soccer Network, whether it be on YouTube or Roku or anybody else on social media. As always, welcome back in. What's up, Ryan? How was your weekend?
it's solid. Didn't get a ton of sleep, but man, we're here having a grand time. I'm excited for today's show. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. Some bold takes and some fights. So hype.
Yeah. Well, speaking on the sleep thing, I think you and I were kind of in the same boat as it pertains to that. But continuing along the lines of hypotheticals, I know we kind of open the show sometimes with those. And I was driving home from the ball game yesterday. Caps wrapped up their series yesterday. Now they're heading on the road back to Cedar Rapids, where they won the Midwest League Championship last year. So right
Out
back to the
west?
the home, yeah, the out west, if you will, in Iowa, the home of Quaker Oats. So they make oatmeal and cereal. The whole town smells like cereal most of the week. So it's a fun place to live, if not for anything else, just the fact that it smells like cereal a lot of times. Anyways, long story short, driving home from everything going on yesterday, and squirrel runs out in the street. And so I'm driving, right? And I'm not going to swerve for a squirrel. You know, there are a few things that if they run out the road, obviously you're going to swerve for. If it's a little kid, I'm going to swerve out of the way. Other things, I might be willing to risk my life to save that. Not a squirrel, though. You know what I mean? Like there's squirrels all over the place. They'll be all right. There's too many of them. So he runs out in the road. I get close enough. He immediately runs back. This is like the 100th time this has happened in my life. I'm starting to think this is intentional, man. I'm starting to think that squirrels do this on purpose because they want to wreak havoc, or it's like some sort of hazing ritual. I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is ridiculous.
Um,
I'm
it's
just saying.
simple. It's a tiny little squirrel that thinks it's safe to cross the road, doesn't see a car coming. Then they hear something and they're like, wait, that might be a car. And then they run back to where they know it's safe at the last second. It happens with every animal. Look at any animal in the book. They will tell you.
I think it's over. I think you're oversimplifying it, man, because he has enough time to cross the road before I
No,
get
he
to him.
doesn't. He's a little
There's
squirrel.
not even a there's not
He's-
even a car coming the other way. What?
His limbs are like the size of my finger. He ain't got time to do that.
He's sitting there waiting for 4 seconds for me to
He's
get
waiting
up on
there
him.
because he's trying to figure out which way the car's coming. Is it to my left or is it to my right? Which way do I know I can dart back? If he's crossing the street and if it's to my left, I know that I can go safe back the other way.
It's fair.
Gosh darn.
I mean, if he's
Squirrels,
got
man.
eyeballs, I mean, he can look to see where the. I mean,
I highly
unless-
doubt they have good sight. I highly doubt they can see a car coming.
Well, I mean, clearly his reaction speed is good enough. He's just not able to process other information that quick. So I don't know, man. I'm starting to think it's intentional, like it's some sort of hazing ritual. Anyways, random thought I had. Let's get into the soccer conversation here in hour number 1 on the National Soccer Network. Ryan, it was a wild, wild week in the MLS. Go ahead and break that down for us.
Yeah, MLS recap. Nothing crazy like there has been in certain weekends, but I think it was just kind of the same old that happens every single weekend. The top teams just take victories. Miami continues to slip a little bit, but again, not a whole lot different from everyone else. Only 2 red cards this week, and we kind of have to have like a red card counter every single weekend because sometimes, man, they get crazy. And I do have a take about this dang league because everyone gets mad at me when I call it a retirement league because I don't know, a certain player who did nothing in Europe all of a sudden scores 9 goal contributions in his first 450 minutes. That's right. San Jose took on St. Louis this weekend. Timo Werner. I mean, this guy just continues to have goal contributions. 4 goals, 5 assists in his first 450 minutes in their game against St. Louis. They win it 3-2 there at the bottom there. You see that one. But yeah, no, they continue to get things rolling. A team that DC United, a team that, scored 4 goals in the opening like 7 games or something like that. The last 2 games, they have 7 goals in their own right in the last 2 games. So shout out to DC United as they beat Orlando City 3-2. And then, I mean, Vancouver, it's always business as usual. They continue to get it done. 3-1 victory against the Colorado Rapids. I mean, they just continue to find the back of the net. Brian Wright, another brace in that game as well. But yeah, no. And then was an interesting. There was something interesting to be said about Thomas Mueller and all that stuff, just to see if he makes the 2026 World Cup roster. Maybe he doesn't want to play the rest of the season, or not the rest of the season, but the games leading up to the World Cup, because we have seen a handful of players potentially wanting to sit out the rest of their regular seasons with their clubs, depending on where they go, or depending on what the stakes are with the team. And then our good friend Callum Ewing with National Soccer Network South. He's a credentialed writer with the Atlanta United. They get a victory over Toronto 2-1. And when you get a chance to search up Muyumba's goal against Toronto this past weekend, make sure you do that, because, man, that was such a beautiful goal. And then Miami continues to slip. They finish 1-1. I mean, it just seems to get worse. They've yet to win inside their new stadium. And one of their new signings, German Betarami, scores his third goal in his fourth game to hopefully get back with the Mexican national team and be on their World Cup roster. But he continues to get it done for them. And then lastly, Marco Reus, his best performance, some people say, in his entire time with the LA Galaxy, as he gets a brace yesterday and beats Nate's Real Salt Lake Diego Luna's side. But yeah, 2 goals for Marco Reus, gets it done for them, and they are victorious. And there is just your MLS recap. Oh, also, I forgot to mention our good friends at For the Crew podcast. They get a 2-0 victory over Philadelphia, which I did find out this weekend that Max Arson's first name is Maximilian. I didn't know that. I just thought it was Max, but it's Maximilian or Maxwell. I thought, maybe it was something like that, but no, his first name is Maximilian. He gets a goal in the first, I think, 4th minute or something like that. I forgot to mention Nashville, Sam Surridge. I mean, this guy just continues to score goals left and right. He gets another one. A couple comments coming in. Dave says, afternoon, sirs. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. I did as well. Hope you did, Dave. Fabian already in it. He's talking about Mbappe maybe leaving Real Madrid. We'll have to look into that. Was not on the docket today, but we can look into it for sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about any move in particular, but it certainly is a rumor. Yeah, some surprise results. I mean, I know Chicago's looked really good this year. Obviously, what we saw out of them, getting to see them. Now, mind you, I think we saw the B team when they were here in Detroit. That wasn't really all their main guys, but I think Chicago is surprised early in the year. LA Galaxy, kind of a mixed bag with that team, but I still think they have a lot of promise. But you're right. I mean, in terms of, I think we're finally starting to get to that point of the year where, we're start to see a little bit more of the separation in both of the conferences between the top contenders and the teams that just simply aren't in the race. But yeah, certainly a few results. I have seen Miami slipping a little bit, but the reality is that even if they're sputtering at this point, I still think this is just they're an experienced team that'll be able to put it together when they need to. I think it's just obviously they've dealt with a changing of management, having to get new leadership in there. So I think that creates a little bit of maybe uncertainty. But, if you can even go 500 while you're going through that transition, it's going to make it even better for you once you are able to get into the flow. So yeah, definitely a lot of competitive ball games and in a strong week in the MLS. But you have another take on this, or the league in general?
Yeah, it's called, why are we letting all these, mid players that play in Europe and all of a sudden they come here and they just dominate the league? And everyone gets mad at me for calling it a retirement league. Everyone gets mad at me for that. Kaka came over here and dominated. David Villa, I think, did that. Frank Lampard, all these players who are washed up, come over and dominate. You're telling me Timo Werner, a guy that, has sucked since 2021, all of a sudden comes into the league and gets 9 goal contributions in his first 450 minutes, and all of a sudden his team is a contender to win it all? Guys, we got to stop letting these big-name players who are not that good at their current moment in time when they come into the MLS, and they just dominate everything. We've got to stop doing that. It is making USA Soccer, it is making the MLS look bad. It's just making the American game just look bad. We can't be having this. Maybe that's the same sense of a good college player in basketball goes overseas and starts dominating that. but in reality, they couldn't even make it in the NBA. Maybe it's like on the level of that. But these players, yeah, they used to be good, but now they're not good. And all of a sudden, they get to the MLS, and all of a sudden they become God. Like, guys, we've got to take ourselves a little bit more seriously here. We've got to up the competition or something like that. Like, Heung-min Son comes in here and blows things up. Thomas Mueller comes in and blows things up. Like, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but there was a video. Everyone got mad at me for calling it a retirement league, but I'm telling you, when a player like this comes into the league and, doesn't really perform well at any of the clubs or anything like that, and all of a sudden shows up and it's like, dude, how did he score 9 goal contributions in the first couple of games? Like, that's just, I don't know, man. It just always annoys me. There's certain things with the MLS that really piss me off. The whole resting an entire squad one weekend because there's no pressure of like, okay, if you don't get 3 points, it doesn't hurt you in the end because there's still 8 teams. Half the league makes the playoffs. We got washed up old players showing up and they're dominating. Like, I don't know, man. The MLS just annoys me sometimes, man. It's just annoying. It's an annoying league.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a different style of play too. I imagine, sometimes players from Europe or where have you, whether it be South America or anywhere else, probably come and join the MLS, and it flows differently than I guess it does in a lot of other places. I don't know. I mean, like when you look at the Prem, I know we talked about like with Arsenal and stuff, like it's obviously the way they play has changed a lot. It's slower now. It's more tactical. I guess it's more measured than what it used to be. Whereas I think the MLS is, at least from what we've seen, and again, I could be completely wrong on this, but it just seems free flowing, and more up and down and less defensive oriented, I guess. So, I guess you go from a place where it's like it's so, it's so measured and structured to a place where it's more up and down in that respect. And maybe some of these guys settle into that and they realize that, they can be, I guess, a little bit more individually creative on the ball, or they can, make runs that they wouldn't have been able to make, or like would have been advised not to make in the past. So, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I don't know if retirement league is completely accurate, but I also feel like maybe
it's accurate.
Accurate. I don't. Yeah.
All right, here. I gave them a massive negative. I'll give you a positive. The MLS. You guys aren't robots like the Premier League and the Bundesliga and La Liga. I'll give you that. I will give you that. And I will say there's like no pressure on any of these teams to like win ever. So I guess maybe it is free flowing because of that. Like if you were to do this in the Premier League, like, people get fired over this stuff for not winning things or getting relegated. But in the MLS, there's like no pressure to really do anything because all you got to do is be better than like 5 teams and you're in the playoffs. So like, I guess that's the only thing I can, maybe say is like, you know what? They're not robots. It's not robotic. It's not every team does not play the same way, the way that the Premier League sides do and the like championship sides even play the same way. But like, no, I will say there's one positive is that they're just like no pressure on the teams and they all just looks like they're just having fun, free flowing soccer. I will say that. There you go, guys. MLS, that's your one compliment you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at it as a compliment. I guess, it depends on the style of play that you're used to. I guess if you're from overseas, if you look at the MLS product, you're like, it's kind of, uncoordinated and not as pretty, but you're right. No, I just think it's definitely just a different style of play that I'm sure obviously makes an impact at the end of the day. So it is different for sure, but I think it makes for an entertaining product. I mean, I will say, at least from a fan perspective, or at least someone maybe watching from an objective point of view, it can make it a very entertaining viewing experience. To your point on players wanting to sit out for the World Cup, I mean, I just think what happened to Lamine Yamal, it reminded everybody that things like that really can happen. And also sometimes the worst injuries happen in like the least suspecting moments. Like it's not even something that happened that you're like, is on a PK, like he just takes it and all of a sudden he suffers this injury. It's like Dante DiVincenzo in the NBA playoffs, recently just went to go make a cut and there goes his Achilles. So it's a question of usage sometimes. How much are you playing? And eventually you just step the wrong way once and your body just kind of gives out on you. So I think it's just not that they want to do like load management per se, but they just want to make sure that Yeah, no, well, I
Load
mean, look at
management
what
be like
LeBron's
LeBron.
doing in the look at what he's doing in the playoffs. I mean,
He's not going to win
it's
it
pretty
anyway, so it
impressive,
doesn't really
but
matter.
yeah,
The Spurs
but
will beat
I don't
him. The
know.
Thunder will beat him. I don't know
See
who's
him
going to
playing
get
with
more
his
calls, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or LeBron in an NBA playoff series. Boy, that's going to be horrible. I will say this. Lamine Yamal should be back by the World Cup. I mean, the timeline
Yeah.
is like right there, so he might miss a group stage game or two.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, it's only a 5
I mean, when they
weeks.
say the rest of the okay.
He's
All
going to
right.
miss the rest of the Barcelona
The
season.
season. Yeah,
The
exactly.
Barcelona
Yep.
season, not the World Cup.
Mhm.
I mean, Travis Simone's horrible injury that he just suffered this weekend. He tore his ACL, so he's out for the Dutch squad. I mean, I don't think he would have started or anything, but that's a guy that could make an impact off the bench. And
Yeah.
which, by the way, shout out Tottenham for actually winning their first game, and it didn't even matter because West Ham won. Oh man, you just love to see it. And then at the same time, they have more ACL injuries than Premier League wins in the year of 2026. Man, is it awesome! Man, I love that club so much. But yeah, no, Lamine will be back. But you know, some players are thinking like Mueller, this will be his last World Cup anyway, so he might just think, I mean, it don't matter if I, play or not. I mean, Vancouver is good as it is anyway, so I'm fine with just chilling a little bit for, taking some rest. Maybe if I just look at the NBA players and just be load management all the time. I could definitely do that. It's an American league, so I can be like LeBron and KD and Steph and Shea.
Yep.
So yeah, shout out to the NBA for just taking load management all the time.
Well, and I think the playoffs have reminded us of one thing, and that's that I just don't know how much
The
regular
Pistons
season
suck. That's what it's reminded us of.
anymore. Yeah, they might not even make it out of the first round.
And
Forget
everyone
the
called me
Eastern
crazy for
Conference.
not even. I said they're not even making the finals, and everyone's like, "No, what are you talking about, Ryan? You're a dummy. They're making the finals." I said they're not even making. They're not even making it, and they might not even make it out of the first round. Good job, Jalen Durden. 40 million my ass.
There are certain lessons that I feel like you learn on repeat, and one of those is that Vegas is always right. So, just don't question what they have going on. But yeah, think about the Celtics. Like if they had Tatum all year, I mean, I don't think we'd be talking about having the number 1 seed. Right, exactly. So, I mean, this has been a 2-seed team all year, but they didn't, we can get into the Pistons conversation a little bit later on. I know we're going to talk about Lions draft. We're also going to talk about the Michigan State fan base and their reaction to a picture of Jimmy Rolder and Derek Moore in the same picture. Interesting. But let's get into FC Bayern summer soccer camp. So we'll come back, talk about the craziness that happened this weekend. I know you were really excited about that segment. But FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Right now, select your city and start a promising soccer path and save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown. We're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
Gesundheit. Welcome back to Inside the Game, episode 276 here on the National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, it was a wild weekend. Some small town throwdowns in the game of soccer and some other crazy stuff that happened. I know you were recapping some of that already on socials, but what happened? Go ahead, tell the folks.
All right, so we got 3 separate instances. Let's see here. Which one should we start with first? Okay, we'll go to Spain first. We will go to Spain. So this all happened in a fight. You're gonna see. Look at this punch thrown right here. Bang! Right in the face. That is Zaragoza. Oh, I forgot to knock out the cap cut. My bad, guys. My bad. But anyway, Zaragoza's goalie Esteban Andrada punches the SD Huesca player that you saw just there, and Jorge Pulido. He gets a red card and just bang, straight in the face, dude. He just loses it. I've never seen someone just crash out so bad before. And then he gets a red card, and everything just kind of spills over. They haven't released any suspensions yet, but you just see all the crazy stuff that just happens. Man, you just got a red card, dude. It's okay. And this has happened before with Esteban Andrada. He's assaulted other players on the field, is what someone said. But it's just dude, you get a red card and then you just crash out and you just want to punch someone. So, but yeah, no, that's I thought this was hilarious.
Man,
I do have an SD Huesca jersey. I should have probably wore that today, just for it all. But yeah, no, that was pretty awesome. God, I love the game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like if someone's running up to me like that, I'd maybe duck and cover, maybe get out of the way, maybe create a little distance. He's just looking right at him. What are you doing? Not that you should expect a cheap shot. I mean, I don't think anybody expects that during a brush up like that. But yeah, man, freaking wild scenes.
I
know that obviously that's is that a done for the season type thing? You think?
I don't know. There's probably 5 games left, so probably get a 10-game suspension. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I mean, look, for that guy Pulido who just gets pushed. I mean, he's definitely not expecting to get sucker punched before.
That's fair.
Before that, so he's definitely not going to duck and cover. I mean, no one expected to get. I've never seen someone get a red card and then just do this. That's never happened before. And then even his teammates are God dang, what did you just do?
Do we know why he got the red card? So that for that shove is why he got the red card.
Yeah, and then you see Pulido just get in the face of the other team's coaches and everything, and then it definitely just instigated it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, between that and what we've seen in the NHL playoffs, and then some of the brush ups in the NBA playoffs too, especially after the unwritten rule was broken the other day in the Denver Minnesota game.
There ain't ever going to be no fights in the NBA. They're all soft. Duncan Robinson said it himself. 99% of the guys don't want any smoke except Beef Stew, because Beef Stew. Fabian says, send him to the UFC. Oh, buddy, just wait till we get the other ones in here. But yeah, no one ever wants to smoke in the NBA. No one wants it. It's the NBA. It's the National Soft Association. All right, let's get into this one does have a fight technically in it. But it also has the bet. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. So technically, there is a fight in here. We'll just have to see it there in a second. But so this is the York City Rochdale game. So, oh wait, oops. I didn't put this on the full screen. There we go. So for context, this is the National League. If Rochdale were to win this game, they get promoted. And then we're going to see a York player, because all the fans go on the field, and we're going to see this player throw a punch right here. Bang! Right in the face. But then York City was like, okay, let's go in the 102nd minute. And if we win, or if we tie, we get promoted into the EFL. And this is exactly what happened. They scored in the 102nd minute, and everyone just goes crazy. And there's also a whole bunch of controversy. That's funny you say that, Fabian. Malice in the Palace. That's funny. I got something for you. Just wait a second. But then all their fans run onto the field, and it's awesome because in the 95th minute, Rochdale goes up 1-0, and the reason, which by the way, that's Ron Boateng, that's the guy who just punched the dude in the face, the fan. Somehow he's still on the pitch, by the way. Don't know how that happened. But just saying out there, Rochdale, all their fans ran on the field. That added all this extra time in. And then, which allowed York to get an opportunity to win it right there, or, well, tie it, and then go up into the EFL, which, by the way, what a disgrace that only one team gets automatically promoted into the EFL, despite both of these teams being on 105 points or something like that. I forget exactly what it is, but yeah, that's the promotion. Also a fight in that one too.
Oh my goodness. Well, just bedlam. And I actually saw a point of view video from a York fan for both goals, after the first one and then after the second one. Now, he didn't really show everything that happened in between, but it does bring up an interesting topic, how even if you score what you think to be the game or the match winning goal, that there can still be time added on if like the celebration is unruly, and therefore the referee turns around and is like, well, so that's the thing. Added time is always confusing to me as to exactly how much time they add on, because it is crazy to think that, I mean, you're 12 minutes over the line and then you get that goal to tie it and to promote, obviously promote yourself up a level. So, but no,
it's a massive step up too, because
it is, yeah.
If you ever watch the Wrexham documentary, which Dave comes in with a comment, for the past few years, the competition for promotion out of the National League, there really should be 2 automatic spots, and you're 100% right, Dave. There should, because if you go back to the Wrexham documentary, they were battling with Notts County, and it took them forever. And Wrexham won the league, and then Notts County got promoted through the playoff. But both of those teams were on 100+ points or whatever it was. And to see a team like this go down, and the reason this game is so massive, because when you get into the EFL, again, it's not like Premier League money or anything like that, but once you get in the EFL, certain things that cost you millions of pounds are covered just through the league, like the insurances or something like that, or like all these fees that you have to pay like out of pocket normally are now covered by the EFL. That's why that game is so massive. There's 2 leagues that are the hardest to get out of, but man, if you can get out of them, create so many different sources of revenue and income for your club, is getting out of the National League into the EFL, and then getting from the championship into the Premier League. That's why the championship, the last promotion playoff, is considered the richest game in soccer, because the amount of money that you gain from that. And that's exactly what we have in the National League. And when you have 2 great teams like that 100% deserve to even be in the EFL, you need to. And I think the stat out there was, in the last 20 years, only 6 out of the 20 years that the team that finished second in the National League ever got promoted through the playoff. I think that's what I heard that this morning. So, Fabian, the only Piston I've ever respected and loved to see was Isaiah Thomas. And no one respected him as a legit badass. And Jordan didn't allow him in the Dream Team. Yeah, he did. He did not allow that. That's the only one you respect, though? Come on. You got to respect Big Ben.
Yeah, there's got to be a few others. You like to respect. But, yeah.
Ben Wallace, obviously, the Going to Work Pistons, dogs. Cade Cunningham's dog. Anyway, but I just got to say, you've got to get multiple teams into this thing. And this is why we need promotion and relegation in America. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna light the grenade there. I'm gonna pull the pin and just leave it there, because we need promotion relegation in America, because without it, we don't get stuff like this. And this here is what makes soccer beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, look at the emotion, look at the excitement. I mean, you could tell that this is something, a moment that has been building for forever for this fan base. And so, as much as I'm sure it probably sucks to go to lower levels, and I'm sure as much strain as that puts on, not just the organization, but the fans around them, seeing them climb back in, it clearly is magnificent, something that people love to see. And so I do think it would create, again, we talk about authenticity. I think that's obviously a big conversation about creating something that's more like that. And I heard someone say, they'll wait until the first USL team is promoted to actually believe that promotion and relegation is a real thing. But yeah, I mean, clearly it creates a situation where the emotions flow for sure.
Fabian says MLS needs to bring in more hype and better players. They bring in all these old washed up players, and clearly nothing works for them. So, all right, last one. This one is for you, Fabian. You talked about Malice at the Palace. Well, we got Malice in the MASL. This is game 2 of the finals right now in the MASL, the San Diego Sockers and Milwaukee Wave, which you're going to see something here. There's a couple angles I got on this, but you're going to see the fans right there get into it with the San Diego Soccer players, and I do have all the punishments have already been issued, and I will read those off. But this is what we have with fights with the fans and the players. And which is funny, is okay. That was a 5-4 game. Okay, that was a 5-4 game. No, this was a 7-2 game. They lied to me. Anyway, this was a 7-2 game. San Diego was up like 2-0, then they give up 7 unanswered goals, and now there's a game 3, which is essentially game 7. But you see there, Bihojevic, who starts throwing it. Dude, they lied to me on this one. It was 7-2. But anyway, game 3, aka game 7, is tonight. And I'm gonna read you the punishments real quick, guys. So number 24, the guy with like kind of the frosted tips you see right there, yeah, he can never play in the MASL ever again. He got permanently expelled from the league for this sense, going after it with the fans, and then a couple other one game suspensions. Luis Morales, Cesar Cerda, and Jesus Pacheco all get 1 game suspension, so they're out. Oh no, this was game 1. Okay, I'm done. Don't listen to me, guys. Don't listen to me. I'm done. But no, so back for game 3. But that is Malice in the MASL.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I think definitely deserving. This is one of those things where if the players are this close to the fans as they're coming on or off, I mean, you just got the one, like, essentially one barricade, which is just an easy, you could just push it out of the way. But yeah, I mean, this is what they talk about when they say that arena league soccer or indoor soccer, it does resemble more of a hockey environment, I guess, in some ways, because it leads to more of a physical game, obviously, because the field is the pitch itself is only half the size. And so when the emotions on the pitch spill off, yeah, sometimes you get brush ups. I mean, obviously this is an extreme, but I remember doing Chihuahua and San Diego last year, and I had made the comment that it had some like USA Mexico vibes to it, which I certainly think added to it, because obviously we know the rivalry on the international scale. But yeah, I mean, it's intense, and so clearly this one spilled over. And I mean, for the MASL, like you're gonna have these brush ups, and I think they like the intensity of it all. I think this just went maybe a step or two too far. So obviously San Diego's had a lot of success, in the last handful of years. So there's kind of an ego there, and obviously Milwaukee trying to prove themselves, and in a raucous environment, sometimes one thing leads to another. But in terms of the punishments, I think it's just. I would certainly say that.
Suspending someone for can't even play in the league ever again.
Yeah, after something like that, yeah, probably. I would have gone the rest of the season, and also probably you have to like switch teams. I don't think
Well, he can't go the rest of the season. It was only 2 games he'd be suspended for.
Well, right. the rest of the championship series, I don't know, but yeah, it's harsh, but also like I mean, it is what's tough for me is I think also the fans bear some responsibility for this. I mean, why are you going after players? But I guess it's a lot harder to identify fans and punish them, unless of course obviously the law was involved. I imagine there was some sort of authority there that was able to sort this out. So it's tough. Obviously the fans bear some level of responsibility as well. But yeah, man, I mean, you can't be throwing things at fans. That's not
hey,
not
Reggie Miller and O'Neal and Ron Artest, none of them got lifetime suspensions from the
that is
the
true.
NBA.
And I do remember watching that Malice at the Palace documentary, which is a really good one. If you haven't watched it, I would
Oh no, the
advise.
Malice at the Palace documentary sucked, dude. All it was
You didn't
trying to
like it?
give light to the Pacers. That's all it was doing. It was the dumbest thing I've
Yeah,
ever
it
watched.
did. It didn't really. Yeah, it didn't really appeal to the. I wish there was more on the Ben Wallace side of things, because there was a big lead up to all that. But anyways, the reaction in the locker room afterwards, they're all like, "Yeah, we might not ever play basketball again." So that's what they were thinking. But I mean, the NBA, they they want to protect their guys, obviously. So, but
Thanks, LeBron.
that yeah, well, it led to a lot of changes, especially as it pertained to fans. And I think because what, didn't he get hit by like a bottle or something? Was it
Yeah, a fan
what?
threw a bottle onto the scores table
Yeah,
where our test was laying down, which was
yeah. And
weird.
so yeah, well, yeah, and so, but I think it completely changed the way that, in terms of concessions, like the type of containers they give to you. I know at like Ford Field, you can't, if you get like a Gatorade, they won't give you like the the little plastic top to it, because it's apparently it's a hazard. You can fling it at people or fling it onto the floor or at somebody. So like some of the things as it pertained to that could they completely change that. So yeah, it's wild. Not okay. So I mean, if anything, good for the MASL to set a standard on this one, I guess.
Dave said, "Wow, did not expect America to invoke sign die." I think because this is the first instance this have ever happened, so they're probably like just trying to nip it all in the butt right now. They'd be like, "Well, we don't want this to ever happen again." But which one of the
Yeah.
three were your favorite?
Uh, favorite?
Yeah.
I mean, the video is just why I would have to say that's probably my favorite, just because of how late it was and the dramatics at the end and the reality that, I mean, the opposing fan base essentially opened the door for you to be promoted in this situation because of how they wanted to act afterwards. That the whole scenes with that moment was just wild.
I think that one was great from like everything else, but I still think the craziest though, like I think it's my favorite is the MASL one, just because of
Mm,
like typically I've never seen players fight fans. Like we've seen maybe some punches thrown here and there. Obviously was not old enough, well technically I was born, but I'm not old enough to remember Malice at the Palace or anything like
yeah.
that. But yeah, no, I think that was crazy because I've never seen it before. And I was talking to someone who was actually at the game earlier today, and he talked about he was right there, just didn't know what was going on. So that was great to see. But no, that Mouse the Palace documentary sucked. There was nothing good about that thing. That
Yeah.
documentary was awful.
Sometimes documentarians skip out on certain details that would feel like add to it a little bit,
All
but
it was to
they're
somehow show
they're
light to the Pacers because they haven't won
yeah.
anything and they were this close. And sorry guys, you reacted away and it cost basically your entire franchise their best team of all time.
You gotta
Shout out
you
Jermaine
gotta
O'Neal, Steven Jackson, and Ron Artest. But
you
but
gotta
it's made to feel sorry for them. I don't know, guys. Maybe
yeah.
don't go into the stands and start fighting people.
I mean, you gotta admit they had some interesting characters on the team. I mean, Steven Jackson and Ron Artest, and it was O'Neal, Jermaine O'Neal. I mean, it was just like it was almost Jailblazers-esque. I mean, not quite to the same extent that the Jailblazers were. By the way, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch that one. That was really good. Rasheed Wallace is in that one. But it's just they had a lot of fascinating personality, so I can see why they wanted to lean more into the Pacers side of things. But
Hey
yeah.
Reggie, maybe dunk the ball instead of try to go up for a layup. Reggie, ever think of that? You could have did that, but no, you had to lay the ball up.
Mm-hmm. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Could have
Let's
you?
tell
That's what you
people.
did, Reggie. God, I hate the Pacers, man. So awful. Hate everything about. I
Oh
don't even like
man.
Tyrese Halliburton either. He sucks. Such an overrated player.
Let's talk about a young American on the other side, Matthias Albert, one of the best the USA has to offer, or so we believe. He's been playing really well lately. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back live and Inside the Game, episode 276. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky continuing our conversation here in hour number one. Final topic in the soccer portion before we get into all sports. You had something on here, Ryan, talking about Matthias Albert in the start that he has had. Really good young American. You had a big question coming into the show on here. I'll let you lay out the storyline for this one.
Yeah, Matthias Albert, which Fabian jumped the gun on during the commercials. A 16-year-old American who debuted this past weekend in the Bundesliga. I think it was in Dortmund. Well, you'd be correct. Just give it a second, though. But Matthias Albert makes a debut for Dortmund. I think it was only like a couple minutes. I mean, he made a couple passes. Wasn't anything earth-shattering, but good nonetheless. Good to see an American get out there. And the question now becomes, I mean, I get it. It's just one. It's just a debut. Didn't do anything impactful. But then the question becomes, will Matthias Albert be better than Christian Pulisic? He's now the youngest American to make a debut for Dortmund. Pulisic was 17 years, 133 days. Gio Reyna was 17 years and 66 days. And Matthias Albert was 16 years and 340 days for Matthias Albert. And then you think, well, what about the goal contributions in their time in the Dortmund Youth Academy? Like, is there something else? Yeah, you can make a debut early, but you know, are you even good enough? Well, here are the numbers for goal contributions in the Dortmund Youth Academies. Pulisic, 27. Gio Reyna, 17. Matthias Albert, 40. Big difference between those ones. I mean, Albert's a winger. I get it. Similar play style, I would say, of Christian Pulisic. On the wing, kind of drift inside as well, create some havoc, be creative in the final third. But the question now will become, can Albert be better than Christian Pulisic, or am I just a victim of what's going on in everyday life anyway, and we crown people way too early before we should?
I think you're a victim of the opinion business, Ryan Glinsky. I think that's what you're a victim of. And
I've even said my opinion yet. I just said, I'm just posing the question.
I feel like you're leading that way. No, listen, the kid's really good. And we've seen that from him early. I think it's natural for sports fans in general to want to crown players early. And I get it, because I think especially as Americans,
Thanks, LeBron.
you know, I think it is, well, I think it is true. I think it's a key part of our culture. You know, we're always looking for the next GOAT, the next great one. And so I think, you know, Albert could certainly be that. But I think it's hard to compare him to Christian Pulisic already, just because of obviously what Pulisic has done with the national team. But then again, there has been a pretty significant gap in the last time we've actually seen Pulisic be Pulisic with the U.S. men's national team. So I don't know if that means that opinions on the guy are souring necessarily, but what I will say is that he is always the one that I feel like everybody wants to compare the next wave of Americans to. You know, are they as good as Pulley is or was, or, you know, so I do think he has the potential to be. I think we have seen from the productivity that he's shown on the youth levels with the U.S. youth national teams, and also in the academies, and physically how he's developing. Again, it's just another one of those marker signs of progress that we've seen from Americans, infiltrating these certain top leagues across the world. But no, am I going to crown the kid right now? Probably not. I don't think he's necessarily earned that title. However, does he have the potential to be? Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has the potential to be. So I certainly think he is a part of that next wave. And again, one of, I think we ran through the list of what our top 5-10 young youth players, and that age group of 20 and below, I think, starting with someone like Noah Kai Banks, albeit he's not playing with the U.S. I wish he was playing more consistently with us, but he's just one of a really strong group. So absolutely could be better than Pulisic. We just have to see how things obviously shake out.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be one person to crown this kid for making like a 5-minute debut and he's gonna be better than Christian Pulisic. No, I don't actually believe that. Which, fun fact for Noah Kai Banks, he has not played for Augsburg since March 22nd. That was kind of right around the time where he was making his decisions and stuff. So his minutes have dwindled down tremendously. Noah Kai Banks. You just hate to see it. Anyway, Fabian says, I hope he will be the USA GOAT. I hope Matthias Albert can be the USA GOAT. I cannot crown this kid on anything. He hasn't even played double-digit minutes. He hasn't scored a goal. He hasn't created an assist. Look, I think he 100% has potential to do so. And it's great to see that he's already making strides and he's already on a call-up. But I am not going to be LeBron James and crown someone just because he showed up and did something at a very young age. He's done absolutely nothing. He has scored as many goals as I have and Nate combined in the Bundesliga and for the U.S. men's national team senior team. So we all have the same goals. It's not like anything crazy. But I will say, unlike Nate and I, Albert has a ton of potential. He could 100% be a star for the U.S. and a star for Dortmund and wherever he goes. But I do want to bring this part up too. I think that there has to be a player on this U.S. men's national team World Cup roster that's one of our teenagers, and it's either Julian Hall, Kevin Sullivan, Albert, another one, and what's the guy's name for the Red Bulls? Mamardi or something? I think that's his name. Mamardi for the Red Bulls. I think he's like the striker or something. Anyway, one of those 4 players need to be on the World Cup roster because every single big nation does it. They bring in a 16, 17, 18-year-old player that is going to have a ton of potential and should make an impact on the next World Cup cycle. You just bring them in the environment. You don't have to play them. 5, 6, 7 players don't even play in the World Cup, even though they're on the roster. That happens an entire tournament. But you have got to bring one of these kids on the World Cup roster, not saying they're going to ever play, not saying they're going to start, not going to say they're making an impact off the bench. But we've seen it happen one time, and at least in my lifetime of watching the U.S. men's national team, and it was Julian Green, who obviously failed tremendously, but he did score a goal in the round of 16 game against Belgium, our lone goal. But he was supposed to be this next great thing, did it for Bayern Munich. But Klinsmann understood that assignment of bringing in a teenager like that. Berhalter didn't, Bob Bradley didn't. But if you're Pochettino, you must bring one of these kids. Who knows? They could create a spark for the team. Maybe they got so much determination and they want to prove so many people wrong. But you have got to bring one of these teenagers onto the U.S. men's national team roster for the World Cup. And again, you don't have to play them, but you just bring them into the environment. You bring them into the atmosphere. And it's a home World Cup too, so bring them in.
Yeah. Well, and I think in the name of, convincing these dual nationals to stick around and want to play for the U.S. men's national team, I also think is important too. I mean, you look at Matthias Albert. I mean, he has German citizenship. He also has French citizenship. Now, not to say that he would ever play for the French national team or the German national team, but
probably not. Good enough.
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, if he ends up being as good as we think he can be from what we've seen, he certainly could make that decision. And so I know we've talked about the importance of USA Soccer in general and the U.S. Soccer Federation to actually have an argument to keep these players. And I think the way you do that is you give them face time early. You give them more playing minutes, more opportunities to prove themselves. I think, when we talk about the conversation with Noah Kai Banks, I think what's really hard is some people realize, like, we should have been giving this kid more looks earlier on, because we knew what he brought to the table. We saw the potential in what he did. Now, obviously, he hasn't. I don't know if maybe it's injury issues why he hasn't been playing. I don't. To be completely honest, I'm remiss for not knowing, but there were chances. There were windows to do so. But as you talked about, Greg Berhalter was not really in the business of doing that. And I think we maybe give a little bit too much credit to the vets that are still around and have been playing for forever. Like, thank you for your service time. And obviously I think they're important in terms of the developing the other side of things, like the attitude and the work ethic. That's why vets are important, because you need those things from them. But in terms of the legs and also the future, going younger for U.S. men's soccer, I think is a great idea because of not just the potential these kids have, but also you can convince them to stick around here, regardless of where they play for their club seasons. You always know that you can plug them in and expect something from them when they return stateside. So that's why, I think they did that with Christian Pulisic when he was young. I mean, I don't know when Pulisic made his debut for the U.S. men's national. I forget how old he was. Was he like 18 or something?
I think he was
17, 18. Really? Okay.
I think he was younger.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I forget how old
I watched
he was
the debut, actually.
But
it was
really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a World Cup qualifier.
Who did he debut against? Oh, really?
Wait, one of the smaller.
It was 18, wasn't it?
One of the smaller. It was not 2018 because we didn't fail to make the World Cup yet. I think it was like 2017.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was
okay.
Because I remember there was a ton of debate about whether you start the guy. Oh no, he made it in 2016. Okay, at 17 years old, just turned 17. He's relatively new to 17. Okay, I did, against Guatemala. Okay, so I was kind of right, and a World Cup qualifier. Okay, I was partially right. But there was a lot of debate whether you even play Christian Pulisic in that spot because obviously we know about the whole World Cup cycle that particular time. I get it, and you should have played him, and you keep him capped tight. Again, I don't think we were ever going to lose Christian Pulisic to Croatia or anything like that. I don't think we'll ever lose Albert to France or Germany. I mean, he has the same style pathway as Pulisic did, just opposite sides of the country, where Pulisic was with New York City and Albert was with LA Galaxy Academy, and then eventually they both made their way over to Dortmund. But no, I don't. I don't know if you can throw that one up. You're going to Iowa, so maybe you could throw it up. But no, it's when I look at the players. I mean, they're similar styles. They're similar makeups. Do I think that he could be better? He could be. And what's funny in this whole conversation is we mentioned Gio Reyna. We've never mentioned if he's going to be better than Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna's been a flop a little bit in terms of the grand scheme of things in the game of soccer, and I had a lot of high hopes for him as well. But Albert, it's a very good start, and it's great to see as well at the same time that there's a good nucleus of young players coming up as well. I mentioned the 4 or 5 that I said before. Like one of them has to be on the World Cup roster, which then brings up the question in 2034 is, do you start giving some of those guys some looks? And it kind of messes up with the for sure starters. It kind of creates some positional battles where maybe one of these up and coming players starts to push people out, like certain players, like maybe Brendan Aronson gets pushed out, Tim Weah or Diego Luna. Maybe some of those players get even pushed out. Gio Reyna, another name. Maybe some of those players get pushed out because some of these young players who wanted a little bit more. It feels like with the U.S. men's national team, there's a good sense of complacency. It feels like because you kind of know out of the 11 players, like the 7 or 8 of them are going to be starters no matter what. Richards, Ream, Pulisic, McKennie, Adams, Balogun, Weah, whatever. And if these young kids can create some positional battles for the next World Cup cycle into 2030, that'd be really good benefit and really would help our nation, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and I just like I like how swaggy these young kids are. I mean, I know they lost to Morocco. I get it, but
Could also be a
there's
negative
a
in
yeah,
terms of how
right. But
swaggy it is.
right, but I think I do think they take pride in playing for the crest. I do think they take pride in playing for the US and trying to prove everybody wrong. And if that's the calling card of this generation, that they want to go out and prove everybody wrong about USA soccer, then yeah, we're in a great spot. And I think, so much of what this conversation is, like John Kowalski said when we had him on the show, and I thought he was brilliant in a lot of the things that he had mentioned in that conversation with us. And you can tell that he has thought a lot about the disintegration, I guess, of what the U.S. men's national team used to be, which, mind you, I mean, we've only won one knockout game, so we can't say that we used to be something, but it used to be easier to understand and know exactly who we had. And so when I look at this next wave of U.S., potential U.S. men's national team, I think it's hard to talk about looking forward when we have the World Cup knocking on our door, but it is a never ending effort on the American side to continue to build towards the future, because we just can't stop evolving. Like, we have to continue to move forward and change things and continue to reevaluate how we develop and what the academy system looks like and where our emphasis is on what the future is, and making sure that we buy low and then sell high if we need to. Not that we're selling players, but buy low. I identify which stocks you think are gonna take off and really invest in those. And so but I think it starts from the top, Ryan. And I think, when we have the head of U.S. soccer, who obviously has been very outspoken about, the plans of creating a soccer heaven here in the United States, that's now, with the Saudis, we have to find someone who can take over that role, who, doesn't just have a vision, but also has a plan. I think that's really where it all starts, and I think when we find that person, maybe we do start investing more in these kids and putting them in better spots and in trusted spots to where they can go out and make an impact. So, yeah, I mean, will he be better than Christian Pulisic, Matthias Albert? I don't know. But what I will say is that I think if this younger crop coming up does one thing, and that's take pride in playing for the USA, then I think we're in a really good spot, for 8 years from now, whatever it is, when they really start to hit their peak prime. So, there's a lot to think of, and especially if this World Cup this year ends up going south the way that some people think that it could for the U.S. men's national team. I mean, worst case scenario, they don't get out of the group. A lot of those conversations are going to be had, and you might see an American that takes over, in terms of managing this team. They might do an about face and completely change things, because if getting grouped in your own country isn't enough to inspire you to do so, then I don't know. But to be completely honest with you, I don't know what would.
That would be the biggest disaster. I mean, you got grouped in Copa America in your home country as well, but before we hype up this young crop, remember the Pulisics, the Weahs, the Sargents, the Adams, McKennies. These players were supposed to be the group of players that got things
the golden
rolling.
Generation.
And clearly it hasn't happened. So I have high hopes for these players as well. But again, we were supposed to talk about this young group with Pulisic and all them. They were supposed to be the ones that take us into a knockout. They're the ones taking us to a semis.
Fair.
Fabian mentions in the chat, he says, Team USA never recruits players from Puerto Rico. We have 3 players in Division II Spain, 1 in Division I Portugal and Argentina, a few in the USL and the MLS. I will say, again, you have the same issue as the U.S. Baseball is your main sport over there. We've got basketball, baseball, hockey, football that are way
Thanks
more
for Javier
important.
Baez.
And at the same
thank
time,
him for Javier.
just because you got a couple players playing overseas, about 5, a couple in the USL, MLS, that's not going to move the needle yet for the U.S. men's national team and the USA players. That they're still looking, they're prioritizing the dual nationals in Germany or anywhere else in Europe or maybe somewhere in South America, stuff like that. But Fabian does think, he says, non-biased, but Puerto Rico should qualify for the next World Cup. Remember, Puerto Rico is a 100-mile island It's growing at a rapid pace here. Tiki-taka, my friend. Play tiki-taka against the European sides, and we'll see what happens. And play it against the U.S. We'll see what happens. Even the USA is not even good.
Fabian, are you a Javier Baez fan? Are you a big El Mago stan? I need to ask him that question because he's been on a roll lately for the Tigers. He's been playing well.
I told you we're at the point of the season where Javi Baez goes absolutely insane for a week and a half to 2 weeks, and then he does absolutely nothing the rest of the year. We're entering that stage. So I would not be like if you're a betting man out there, I'd take Javi Baez to like get on base the next couple of weeks, and then after that, after he does something incredible where he hits like 2 home runs in a game to carry the Tigers to a victory, then you just stop because then he's good the rest of the year.
You can never make me hate Javier Baez, man.
I can hate him.
Cubs World Series 2016.
I can hate him. It's called he guesses when he just says, you know what, I'm going to swing at this pitch. I don't even care what he's going to throw. I'm just going to swing at it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's always a guessing. I was talking about that the other day, like someone mentioned the point of, if Babe Ruth was playing nowadays, what would it look like? And it's like he'd be hitting 215 and he probably wouldn't. I mean, maybe he would make major leagues, but there would be no way. You got another comment? I saw your face just light up there.
Yeah, he says that Fabian would put a 100 White Castle burger bet on it. I imagine that's USA, Puerto Rico. I don't know. He says he does love Puerto Rican players, but he says I like Kiki Hernandez and Sugar Diaz. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even like Javi Baez, and he's on my team. Awful. He just there's certain
electric,
moments
man.
where you just scratch your head and
know.
think, man, I may be a better baseball player than him.
So, but there are those moments, but then there are the moments like the base running when he got caught in the pickle between third and home, and he was able to, third and second, and he was able to hold up I forget what it was, hold up the defenders long enough so someone could cross home. It was like, there are also moments where it's like, that's the highest IQ baseball play I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't believe that
I just don't think he uses his brain half the time. I just feel like he just
it does have that. Yeah, it does have that vibe sometimes.
Like yesterday in the game, he just stopped running when he could have caught a fly ball. And it's like, dude, if you just kept running, you would have caught it, but you just stopped. Fabian says, what would you guys do if Team Puerto Rico beats Team USA in soccer? It wouldn't happen. So it also depends who the U.S. even plays, because most likely that's a friendly.
They do have a basketball team, a national basketball team. No, I think I could
beat them.
I do know that. I know that the Dream Team actually played them, I believe, at like the Olympics or something like that. It was either them or maybe Costa Rica. I can't remember.
We could put the best high school prospects, and they would probably still beat Puerto Rico in basketball. We wouldn't even have to play the college kids or the 4 NBA American teams that we could put up.
It's just genetics. They just don't make LeBron James-sized human beings in Puerto Rico, and that's okay. It's basketball. Unfortunately, it's a big man's game. Unfortunately, so. But speaking of basketball, let's get into the basketball conversation on the other side here on Inside the Game. We talked a little bit NBA playoffs. Also, LeBron James playing with his son. Beautiful thing to see. Let's talk about it, Ryan. FC Bayern.
Ronnie ain't an NBA player. I'll tell you that.
Academies. Proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network. He's been playing good lately, but the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States, designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18. Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30 or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
It's time for the all sports section of our podcast here today, episode 276. I'm Nate. That's Ryan. Ryan talking a little NBA playoffs here in episode 276. Pistons dropping another one the other day. Orlando Magic now up 2-1 on them in round one. We had mentioned, was Vegas being disrespectful for having the Pistons
they're right.
low on the list.
They're right. This team sucks.
Yeah, well, there you go. Ryan just took the words right out of my mouth. They were right. So
they're awful.
I don't know. Hey, Ryan, it's frustrating.
Fabian says bring Bronny to the Pistons. I'd rather have Jalen Duren than Bronny James on the Pistons. Bronny James does nothing. There's nothing you can tell me there's nothing you could tell me to convince me that Bronny James is an NBA player. The moment LeBron leaves, no one wants Bronny James. It's the same thing as Bryce. Bryce is awful too. The only reason Bryce is on Arizona is because his dad's LeBron. And then whenever the game ends, Bronny takes off his warm-up and looks like he played, but he never actually stepped a minute on the court. Even when they got blown out by Michigan, he didn't even step on the court. So there's the LeBron James family for you. Anyway, the Pistons suck. This team's awful. They don't have any true scores on this team outside of Cade Cunningham. Everything revolves around Cade Cunningham. Duncan Robinson would be very nice on this team if there was another true level scorer, but Duncan Robinson gets defended so well. Bronny is equivalent to Shedeur. I would take Shedeur Sanders a better football player than Bronny James is as a basketball player. I'll give you that. At least Shedeur started in college and for a Division I program.
Yeah.
But no,
it did well. I mean, Bronny averaged like 1.5 points for USC. So I don't.
All of a sudden he left after 1 year. It's almost like LeBron went up to Le GM went up to the Lakers and was like, "You got to take Bronny or I'm leaving." Again, just makes the NBA more unwatchable. Anyway, no, this team like Duncan Robinson would be a very nice piece on this team. However, the difference with him is he's defended, he's face guard all the time because everyone knows he's the only consistent 3-point shooter on this team. Tobias, dude, like, come on, man. This is you technically played for this team. Typically, you ball out against your former teams. You don't do that. Yeah. Jalen Duren can't dribble the basketball. I can dribble a basketball. Jalen Duren can't. Yet you want $40 million. Jalen Duren might be one of the softest big men. He's an all-star, apparently. But in the playoffs, he does absolutely nothing. And the only thing that matters to me is what you do in the playoffs. Because we can have all this great regular seasons, whether it's the Tigers or whether it's the Lions or whether it's the Red Wings. We've seen a Lions team win 15 games. And they didn't win a single game in the playoffs. We've seen, all these great performances from Tarek Skubal in the regular season. Gives up grand slams in the playoffs. Like, dude, I don't care about these regular seasons anymore. I'm talking to you, JD. I get it. You're an all-star. But could you at least show up? You've not developed a post game. You have no floater game. You don't even defend well. You can't even rebound well. Paolo Banchero has you in a blender. Wendell Carter's bodying you. There is nothing good about this Pistons basketball team. If you were to take Cade away, this team don't even make the playoffs. That's basically how bad this team is. And I love Asar Thompson. Don't get me wrong. I love Asar Thompson. But, man, could you develop a little bit of a jump shot? Just a little bit? If you could just develop a mid-range jump shot, I would give you $40 million over Jalen Duren. If you just developed a consistent mid-range jump shot, but you don't have that either. And Ron Holland, dude, this guy does nothing offensively either besides crash out. We got Beef Stew getting flagrant fouls all over the place. Banchero and Franz Wagner are a matchup nightmare for the Detroit Pistons. No one can figure out how to stop them. But this Pistons team is the most fraudulent one seed I think I have ever seen in my life. And the only difference why the Pistons are a 1 seed is because they tried hard in the regular season when no one else did. Another reason why the NBA is unwatchable is no one tries for damn near the entire season. And now everyone's trying, and it's like, well, you're not even that good because now everyone's trying. They're on the same level as you. So, no, this Pistons team is garbage.
If you bring this Pistons team back to an era in the NBA in which shooting and scoring wasn't as much of a priority in terms of the distance game, and also your versatility as a big, because I think when I look at Duren, I also, again, I'm not comparing him to Andre Drummond, although Andre Drummond did hit a 3.
At least Andre Drummond rebounds well, unlike Duren.
Yeah, but
it was tough down low.
It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of that, but the going to work mentality that this organization used to beat the Lakers, it just doesn't work that way in the NBA anymore. You know, if Kobe was off and he wasn't hitting shots, as long as you take care of Shaq, I mean, there was a chance that you could beat that Lakers team. And obviously Ben Wallace had the performance of a lifetime, still, in my opinion, the greatest big we've ever had. But the thing is that mentality and that way of playing the game doesn't translate to what we have now. And again, when you take away Cade, it's just the versatility of this team plummets. To your point, Duren is not a true scoring big. He's a big body. He's a good defender, but in this series, you're right. He's a matchup nightmare because he has lead feet. You know, this is the guy we're supposed to give a super max to. You talk about locking yourself in for pain for years to come. Not saying he's a bad basketball player, but is he worth all of that? I just don't know. I mean, he has lead feet and he's not a good face-up scorer. And to your point, nobody else really on this team, in my opinion, from what I've seen through these first three games, can create their own shots or create their own offense. And that's a problem when you're going up against an Orlando Magic team who is as dynamic as they are with Banchero and Wagner and the types of players that can create shots. And I think someone mentioned this the other day. It's not 1 and 8. It's actually closer to like 2 and 5 in terms of the seedings, because the Magic have dealt with injury issues. They've dealt with this, they've dealt with that. And now they're playing their best ball when it matters the most. And so, you know, forget Eastern Conference Finals. We might be talking about a team that bows out in the first round. And I don't even think that's much of a stretch to say. And I know that, you know, this is an emotional reaction to the Pistons going down 2-1. But even in the game that we won, we went on that freak run. Sure, we just started hitting a bunch of shots. It happens. It's the NBA. But that's not sustainable, because that's not who this Pistons team is. And when you're in early holes, especially as a team that's great defensively, I mean, they're not built as a team that can go out and win an NBA championship, because you need another dynamic scorer around Cade Cunningham. The going to work mentality does not work in the NBA now. I mean, everybody can hit threes. Everybody has sharpshooters. So if you give up a couple of threes, a quick rebound or a physical two is not going to do anything. The half court stuff, it doesn't work. It doesn't work now. And so you take away Cade, you don't give Duncan Robinson any clean lanes to shoot. What do you have left? You know, what do you have left? What, you're going to go to a back to the basket? You're going to go to a back to the basket big who can't hit a hook shot, you know, who's not dynamic in that way. It is, it is. I believe that we are starting to see that whatever works in the NBA, which again, the brand of ball that this team plays was good for the NBA. You know, their defensive rating was off the chart, but when you get everybody's best shot, especially as a number 1 seed. And I think that's the other thing that we have to factor into what the series is the Magic they're playing with their hair on fire, because they really don't have to hold back in any respects. What do they have to lose? There's nothing to lose for Banchero and Wagner. They're not expected to even get out of the first round. So just go out and play. You know, so I think the mentality
Their contracts
right now
would
that
probably
Orlando,
disagree with that statement.
Well, but they're having fun. So anyways, but
no, they're out there just having fun. Well, yeah, they're kicking the Pistons' ass. Like, there's no toughness on this team at all. It's like they're shell shocked right now. You guys went to the Garden 3 times and you got 2 wins in the NBA playoffs last year in the Garden, and we are shocked because we went to play that song, Orlando Magic. Dude, this team is awful. There is, like, Jalen Duren, ship him out immediately. Get this dude out of here, because if you don't do anything for me in the playoffs, don't want you around. I don't care if you were an all-star this year, because quite frankly, an NBA all-star doesn't mean anything anymore. It really doesn't. We are basically the Utah Jazz with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. At least Rudy Gobert could defend a little bit better than Jalen Duren. Rudy Gobert was a better player than Jalen Duren. But I'll give you Cade Cunningham over Donovan Mitchell. But it's the same thing. You have a very dynamic
Rudy Gobert
big.
gets a lot of hate for nothing.
Rudy?
Yeah, he gets a lot of hate.
Because he makes
for
like
nothing,
$200 million and he can't make a free throw. That's the reason.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And he also did the whole COVID mics when it got rolling. Then he got COVID. Which, by the way, your whole 2 versus 5 thing kind of brought something up for our good friend Fabian. Kobe was better than LeBron, 5-2 versus 4-10. Just saying. That's what you put that on yourself there, Nate. records in the NBA Finals. But look, you guys have got to figure this out because in the offseason, the first thing I'm doing if I'm a Pistons in the front office, getting rid of JD, and I'm going to find myself my Franz Wagner. I don't know what. Go get Lauri Markkanen. If it costs you 4 first-round picks, I don't care. It's a first-round pick in the NBA. It doesn't mean anything. And to tell you, anyway, in the NBA, and with the whole NIL thing, a borderline first-round pick ain't going to the NBA draft. They're going back to college to get themselves $3-4 million a year, and then they become lottery picks. Shout out Yaxel Lenneborg. So it don't even matter anyway. You're basically drafting second-round talent from pick 15 on. So I don't even care about first-round picks anymore when it comes to the NBA draft. I don't care. Or you could have got yourself a Michael Porter Jr. and help maybe, I don't know, defend Franz Wagner or something. So put this on you guys and another Detroit GM who just sits on their hands at the trade deadline and does absolutely nothing and hurts them in the long run. Thank you, Trajan Langdon. Appreciate it, my man.
Yep.
Michael Porter Jr.
I remember
was sitting
talking
there.
about I remember talking about not messing with the momentum of this team, but yeah,
you can mess up with the momentum of the team. It's the NBA. No one's trying anyway in the regular season.
Right. Yeah, we're learning a lot, and they did not look good, and they continue to. It's the same soft nonsense that I think Pistons fans have just gotten accustomed to with this organization. And Cade is just on an island. Like, you can't really blame Cade for what's going on, but what he had, I think only had like 20 the other night or something. So yeah,
only
they effectively
20
shut him off.
Only 20 from our superstar. This guy's putting up 20 plus points, and no one else can do a damn thing. Not even mad at Cade. Cade's balling. Imagine if Cade wasn't even playing, dude. We'd probably be down 3-0. Probably get swept.
So
we're basically the Derrick Rose Bulls.
Got that nice little winning streak at the end of the season without Cade being in the picture, and got a little too confident with it. So are they playing again tonight? When are they playing next? They're playing again tonight in Orlando. All right. Well, have fun with that. Yeah, I was talking to a few people out and about that were like, yeah, we went out and watched the Pistons play. I'm like, you actually went out and watched that? Like, that's a team I would have to watch in the safety of my own home with like nobody else around.
I could go out and do that. It's I mean, it's just an NBA game. I don't have too much stock into the NBA as I probably should. The only ones where you won't get me in public is an Arsenal game or Michigan game. That's the only one you won't get me in public, even though I have done it. It's not great.
I do like 2K though. You like 2K? Are you a 2K fan?
It's okay. I don't really play a ton of video games, to be honest with you.
The shooting meter is dumb, man. I can't. With Duncan Robinson specifically, I can't hit a 3 to save my life, which is like, it's fine, but I just can't shoot
NBA
with
2K
dude,
try to be smartest guy in the room like Adam Silver.
Yeah. Hey, but I'm in the second round though in my Pistons franchise, so it's okay. We actually got past the first round. So make me the GM. I'll make some decisions. We'll get the boys rolling. But let's tell
prize
people
money for making the playoffs in like the NBA and stuff.
I believe so. Yeah, I know. I mean, I know there is for winning an NBA championship, obviously, but there's financial incentives for making the playoffs, and I think there's financial incentives for every round that you win too. So I think if you make the Eastern Conference, but I don't know if that's on I don't know if the NBA gives
the winner of the NBA Finals
the
gets $8.8 million. And I guess off ticket sales alone, teams make millions of dollars just in the playoffs. Gotcha. Oh, here's what it is. So NBA playoffs, NBA players have the highest. Obviously they have the highest. Oh, so they share a pool. Like the players even get one for certain things. So, gotcha. Okay, so it's now $9 million for winning the NBA playoffs. Best second or teams in the first round, they get the prize money for the teams is $481K. Semifinals, $586. Conference finals, just under $1 million. And if you lose in the NBA finals, you get $4 million. So yes.
All right. Yeah. I think for every major professional sport, there's some sort of financial incentive.
Hey, let's give more NBA players money. Let's give them more money, guys. Say you don't have enough anyway. Don't even play half the time.
Yeah. Yep. Salaries are ridiculous, but coming up here on Inside the Game, we'll talk a little bit about the NFL draft, reactions to the Lions picks over the weekend. I'll be honest with you, Ryan, Brad Holmes made it hard to act even upset about it. Maybe bad for business on the sports media side, but in terms of this team, I think he made some good selections. We'll talk about that on the other end. Man City Soccer Camps, though, are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back live on Inside the Game. Here in the all sports section here today. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, talking about the biggest news in sports over the weekend. And, you know, part of my build-up, my preparation for my minor league games is, you know, I'll obviously write down all the relevant things as it comes to the organization, upcoming promotions, how the prospects are doing, whatever it may be, what have you. But the other thing that I'll do is I'll always look up, number one, what national day it is, right? So yesterday was National Pretzel Day. So that's why we had $2 pretzels at the stadium. Love it, personally. But
Do you eat
I'll
it with
also look
mustard or
up what
cheese?
You didn't think I'm crazy. Sometimes I eat it without either. Lightly salted. I just like dough and salt, man.
That's
Great.
disgusting.
It's my life source. Anyways, I'm fat, dude. You've seen me in person. Like this should make sense to you.
Well,
know,
if anything, the sauce
like
has added more
dough,
calories
man.
than the pretzels. So like that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I'm just saying, wouldn't a fat
but
person
yeah.
want all the sauces and stuff on it?
I mean, so I can't say all the time. There are, if the pretzel itself is just so magnificent, then yeah, like Ben's Pretzels in South Bend, very good, the best I've ever had. So if you ever have Ben's Pretzels, like if you go to a South Bend Cubs game, get Ben's Pretzels. Like, believe you me, it is the best. But no, anyways, before my games, I'll look up, you know, top sports stories, you know, and if anything is like close to being relevant to what we have going on in front of us, I'll mention it. But every single outlet there is during that stretch of time is just talking about the NFL draft. And so the biggest event in the United States, it's only gotten bigger and bigger. And the Lions, I don't know, Ryan, I understand that, again, and I talked about this the last time we were live, that we live in, you know, the attention business. And so sometimes the really negative reaction is going to get more reviews. And, you know, if I truly felt that way, I wouldn't hesitate to be that way. But I don't feel that way after this draft. I think Brad Holmes did what a lot of people were hoping that he would do. And that is, again, not be the smartest man in the room and take the best available player, because I think there's so much of that is just subjective. So for him to go out and get someone like Blake Miller, who I believe can play much earlier, he only missed 4 practices in the entirety of his college career at Clemson. I mean, he is a workhorse. Doesn't have any injury issues. I know the other guy, Freeling, that we were looking at, the Georgia kid, more of a project, and you can't, in the position that you're in right now for the Lions, you can't have a project. A project would not, it would set this organization back. You can't afford to do that. So I think Blake Miller will immediately be able to make an impact. So I think that's really good to play opposite of Penei Sewell. I think getting Derek Moore, an edge rusher, I think he showed a lot at Michigan. Now, there was a stretch of time where he wasn't playing, but I still think this is a guy that, can provide a lot in the run game. I don't know if he's as much as a true pass rusher, but he is someone that can certainly help shore up this defensive line in terms of being able to shut down the run, which I also think is really important. I think there's another element to the Lions getting the Michigan guys that I'll touch on in a little bit that I don't think anyone's thinking about, but in that way, Derek Moore can certainly be a help. Jimmy Rolder is interesting because, yeah, you look at his stats. Okay, is he, he was projected later rounds, second team all Big Ten, not necessarily the most dominant force from the linebacker position. However, the Lions and Brad Holmes specifically, if you look at all their draft picks, a lot of them have one thing in common, and that is their RAF, their RAF score. It is something that they look, and it essentially combines all of what you do at the combine into like one number, one measurable based off of your position group, that'll tell, people who could draft you what percentile you're in. Jimmy Rolder's in like the top 6 percentile of linebackers that were scouted. So essentially what that means is that he is a physical freak in terms of the numbers that he put up at the combine. And that's typical of a lot of Michigan players. I feel like their strength and conditioning has just been unbelievable, especially when we had, who was the big bald guy? I forget what his name was. The guy that Jim Harbaugh said he couldn't even, the guy that he said he couldn't look in the face, or like his handshake, like broke his hand. I forget what his name, but
he played at
mean
Michigan
looking dude, but no. Their strength guy.
Ben Herbert?
Ben Herbert, thank you very much. I was like, forgetting what his name was. Yeah, Herbert
Lion or something.
Yeah, but he Michigan players do have a history of putting up some pretty damn good numbers in terms of the measurables. And so Brad Holmes saw that, and yeah, project, sure, but he has all those right numbers in terms of, he's just a beast of a human being that he could be someone that could be, a good plug-in. But the last part about this, and I'll let you get your point in here, Ryan, because I'm sure you have some reactions too. I think synergy and also understanding how to play with one another and familiarity is also an important thing as well. I mean, yeah, is it kind of, I'm sure, alarming to some Michigan State fans that we went with all Michigan guys? Sure. But when we talked about the importance of playing together coming up, they played their college ball together. They know each other, they're familiar with one another. And so when you get everybody from the same school, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something that Brad Holmes is starting to think, not only are their numbers where they need them, not only are they position needs, which I think they were all, especially with Anzalone leaving, I think they were all position needs. And so that's important, but you also got guys that know each other and have played together. And so that adds to, well, not played together. I know because Hutch has been gone, but I mean, at least the other two, but they, that there's some sort of connection there. So I think that might be important in the grand scheme as well. But I don't know. It's tough for me to be upset about what Brad Holmes did in the draft. I thought they did great, and I thought they got a lot of pieces that they certainly need.
Look, I did it on social media yesterday, and I swear to God, you guys were arguing about 6th and 7th round picks. I'm not wasting my time about a 7th round pick. There's a reason why they're a 7th round pick. And if it hits, it hits. Most times they don't. I'm not going to argue in the comment section with you people about a damn 7th round pick. I'm not. All I really care about is basically the first 4 rounds. Maybe the 5th.
Yep.
But I'll tell you this. It was the most un-Brad Holmes draft I've ever seen in my life. He drafted for what they needed. He was not smartest guy in the room. He wasn't drafting the best available. He was drafting simply for needs. And I think that's okay to do that this year, and especially with the things that you need. If this was a different year and there weren't so many glaring holes, I think that you could have gone best available. But the thing is with the Lions is they needed help in some severe areas. And one of them was the offensive line. We saw what Jared Goff looked like without an offensive line. Gosh, it was horrible to watch. But what does Brad Holmes do this offseason? Retools the offensive line. Uses his biggest, free agent signing, a new center. He gets a new offensive lineman with his number one pick, his first round pick, reinvents the wheel. So I'm not even mad at that either. And what have we been saying for years? Get Aiden Hutchinson some help. Almost like we need to get Cade Cunningham some help. Gets Derek Moore. Again, I don't like Michigan players being drafted to the Lions. That's just a me thing. Just because, I've seen him play forever. I have a little bit more of a different opinion. I think Derek Moore is a fine player. I think he'd be very good. Opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Like, if we did not have an edge rusher and we drafted this guy, I get it. And especially with, people like Aleem McNeil and Tyleik Williams, not necessarily helping a ton in the run game. I think Derek Moore can really help with that. I think he can get home a couple of times. I've seen it happen before. But again, Derek Moore also, when he was at Michigan when he was with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, I think I think that's, just look at his junior year tape, because that's kind of what he'll be doing with the Lions. He had two top 15 pick D tackles, and he was creating havoc, that way. So that's kind of what you're looking at. When he was kind of the leader of the defense, not great. I look at Jimmy Rolder, dude. I hated Jimmy Rolder at Michigan, so I swear to God, I got to watch this guy more. My teams, I was a Cole Sullivan guy. I thought he was better than Rolder. I think he's a little slow for me. You can be a physical specimen all you want, but if it doesn't translate to the field, just be a bodybuilder, Jimmy Rolder. I really didn't like Jimmy Rolder pick. Keith Abney, again, you needed a corner. You got it. Kendrick Law, everyone was pissed about because it's a wide receiver. Dude, it's a 5th round pick, man. It's whatever. Got a D tackle in the 6th, 7th round, another edge. Again, I don't really care about. But look, it was Brad Holmes being, you know what, I have some holes I gotta fix. Maybe could have used a safety. Maybe could have used one, because I don't know what Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch. But again, maybe they didn't even like any of the safeties that were on the board when they were, trying to pick. I would have loved Jacob Rodriguez, to be honest with you, in the 2nd round. But he was picked one spot ahead of Derek Moore, so I was really pissed about that. Maybe they were trading up to maybe get Jacob Rodriguez, but instead he goes to the Dolphins one pick before. But, hey, you got an opposite edge rusher. There's really nothing I can complain about. I have to agree with you, Nate. I know it doesn't make, super exciting stuff, but you know what? You did your job, Brett. You did your job, Brad Holmes. Miller's going to start day 1. Moore's going to start day 1. You got a couple of starters in your first 2 picks. That's all I can ask for. If you can get starters in the first 2 rounds of the draft, I'm completely fine with it. He got it done, so I'm not even really upset about this whole thing. What I'm more upset about is you damn Lions fans getting pissed off about day 3 picks. I could care less. Tell me the last time a Lions 7th round pick did anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Couldn't tell you.
Well, I mean, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant once upon a time, but, then again,
because the Niners have great things at every single position, and Kyle Shanahan is an offensive guru. Yeah. That is why Brock Purdy is working.
You're right.
And Trey Lance was god awful.
Yes. No, and I think right, and I think the body language in the room was also an important thing from draft day too. And I think everybody, we didn't have an instance like Sean McVay, looking like
that was awful too.
Someone just burned his house down as he's doing that press conference. It's like this is Stafford's team. It's like, well, okay. I mean, we had mentioned, the Packers are an organization that love getting a younger guy in behind the veteran, and then they transition seamlessly. But I don't know if that was something Sean McVay wanted to do, but we didn't have any of that, what seemed like clashing of heads in that room. I mean, it seemed like all of them were very confident in the direction they were going with the picks they had done, whether or not they got the guys they, truly wanted or not. By the way, I wanted to work this in. I know we're talking draft, and then coming up here to wrap up the show, we'll talk about the picture that's circulating social media right now of both Derek Moore and Jimmy Rolder in the same picture, and the reaction from the 2 fan bases here in Michigan. But I wanted to work this in. Do you know what the WAR stat is in baseball by chance, Ryan Gunsky? No. Wins above replacement. So essentially what that tells people is wins above replacement. It combines all the different stats to show your impact on a team. And if they were to take you out, how many wins versus, where you when you are playing and when you're not playing, what's the difference? And so, your typical WAR stat, if you have anything above 1, I mean, that's really good. Kevin McGonigal has the highest wins above replacement in Major League Baseball right now. He's gotten on base 24 straight games, and he has an on-base percentage residing above 430, which means that nearly half the amount of times he's come up to the plate, he's gotten on base. Dude, I think we might have found our new generational player in Detroit for the
his name's
Tigers.
God.
And not just...
Been saying he's God.
God. And not just that, but I think the more important element to this, and I know we only have 5 minutes, so we have to take another break. So I wanted to fit this in because I think it's important, because we have a lot of Tigers fans that probably listen to our show, and got on the hype video there. Shout out Tigers for using that clip from our show. We might have finally found our next true homegrown bat for the Detroit Tigers, something that we haven't done in decades. And I think putting Kev in this mix has led to what we've seen from Torkelson. It's led to Riley Green and the turnaround he's had and being one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the course of his last 10 games. It is infused this team with that next level of juice. And I really do think, I know we've talked about him a lot, but this kid's the truth. And I didn't expect it to happen this fast. It is crazy to think how fast it has happened, because at this time last year, this time, fast forward all the way to July, he was still on the West Michigan Whitecaps. And I remember hundreds of Tigers fans, probably more than that, probably thousands on social media, because at some point, the mute button on X/Twitter specifically is such a blessing, right? Because it means I don't have to block you, but I can also mute you, and I don't have to listen to what you're saying, because if all it revolves around is when is this kid going to get promoted, then I don't have the answer to that, okay? That is above my pay grade. I'm just the guy that shows up and talks about what's going on in front of me, so don't ask me. But to think that he was on the West Michigan Whitecaps until July of last year, and now he's doing what he's doing in Major League Baseball, I've never seen anything like this. And so what does this mean for the Tigers? I don't know. Clearly the pitching staff has not been great. Jack Flaherty is I like the way that they did it, and the way they let him go for a year and then they signed him right back. That's brilliant in terms of moving the money around in the way that you need to, but not great. So it's seeing the pitching staff struggle the way that they do is not typical of what it's been the last couple of years. However, yeah, Kevin McGonigal, I mean, he might win MVP if he keeps this up. I've never seen anything like it ever.
Yeah, his name's God. He's good. No, he's a good player. I still think this team needs more. I think this team needs more bats because Fabian says he loves this show. I appreciate you too, Fabian. He asked where are the Tiger fans at? I think they went to Ohio. Probably. They're probably coming back from Cincinnati. The issue I still have with this Tigers team is
Cincy's good too.
The issue I have with this Tigers team is no one's consistent on this team hitting the ball. Again, I told you, Javi Baez is probably going to go insane for the next week, and then he won't do anything the rest of the year. Torkelson's hot right now. Hopefully that continues. Will it? Probably not. Gleyber Torres, hot and cold. Colt Keith, Riley Green. Like, there is no consistent bats, and you can see that in this team. Like, they will score 8 runs in an inning and then not score any other inning the rest of the game. Or, like, they'll score 3 runs this inning, wait 5 more innings, score 3 more again. And then, like, in a whole game, like, in a series stretch, in the 27 innings that's played, they might score in, like, 4 innings. Like, it is such an inconsistent team when it comes to the bats. I'm glad we finally have one, and he's the youngest one on the team. But, like, damn, man, can we get someone else to show up consistently all the time? Like, that's the only issue I have with this team. And I hope to God that we are in a very good spot at the deadline and we can add a bat at the deadline. Again, I can't picture who these players will be because I remember at this time last year, everyone was thinking the Blue Jays were going to suck and Bo Bichette was going to be a guy we could get at the deadline. Clearly not. They made the World Series and went to Game 7. And which, by the way, for all the people that crash out about what the Tigers lineup looks like in April, get a life because, dude, it is April. Does it matter? I've seen this team go from a 0.2% of making the playoffs, and they do it, and then blow a 15-game lead the next year. It does not matter, people. It does not matter. You've got to reinvent yourself 10 times in a season anyway. Bo Bichette, we were talking, like I just said, was possibly getting traded. That Tigers World Series team, they were under 500 for like half the year. Guess what? They made a World Series. I don't care what the record looks like in April or May. Once like the end of June happens, turn things up, please.
Yeah. You can just, but you can still put yourself behind the 8 ball. I understand you want to play your best ball later, but, how we do leading up to the trade deadline matters mostly because, if we get to the deadline and we're not doing well, and I know that, to a lot of Detroit fans, they'd hear this and they go, there ain't no way that's going to happen. It is not off the table for this organization to deal Tarek Skubal at all. If we get to that point of the season and we're not doing well.
Wait, deal Tarek Skubal? It's almost like,
yes,
I don't
absolutely.
know. It's been said the last like 3 trade deadlines.
Well, with it being a contract year, it makes it a little bit different, and you get a chance to.
He might
offload
feel
all
a certain
that.
way though if he gets traded. He might
weapons.
have certain feelings about being traded and whatnot and all that stuff.
No feelings.
Which, by the way, Fabian says you guys need to find an Ichiro. That guy was a hitting machine. Yeah, as long as we don't create a statue for him. God, that statue's awful. Go search.
I guess his name is. Yeah, it's Well, I don't know. I didn't think it was a bad statue.
Oh, it's awful. It's
the
awful.
bat broke. Obviously, the bat's not in one piece, so that's a little problematic. Oh my goodness. Yeah, looking at the creators of the statue, just kind of like realized that the bat snapped as they were going to unveil it. It's like, not great. But I think everybody just hates on statues nowadays. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, because they look awful. Whoever creates them, they're stupid. They don't look like like if AI can make a better photo of a player, than the creators are making a statue. It's not great. It's not great.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about one picture circulating the internet, and then we'll also get into question of the day. But that's coming up next on Inside the Game. Welcome back inside the game here on the National Soccer Network. By the way, I got one more thing for you here, Ryan. Torque going deep in 5 straight games ties a Tigers record. So
he probably won't go yard again for a month.
Yeah. Ryan's got beef with our good friend Spencer Torkelson. But
no, I don't have beef with him. It's just so frustrating to watch this team. That's the only issue I have. It's like, how can you go from, being amazing one week and then never doing anything for like another 2 months? Like, it just makes no sense to me, man.
That's fair. Let's get into this picture that's been doing the rounds on social media. Thing is about rivalries in college football or just college athletics in general. Some of them can be pretty petty, and the pettiest one that obviously I've ever grown up with has been Michigan and Michigan State. And the Lions admin put out a picture of Jimmy Rolder and Derek Moore in the same picture, and it just so happened to be both of them going to try to attempt to sack Aiden Childs. Yeah, and everybody was just absolutely up in arms about it. I know I texted you about it shortly thereafter, and I get the frustration from Michigan State fans. I understand that it is hard to see the level of productivity that Michigan has had in terms of putting players in the NFL,
And the
really,
NBA.
you could say and the NBA over the course of the school's history, and especially just this year with the Lions organization taking Michigan players. But is there no ability in your mind to separate college from the NFL? The thing that I love about football, Ryan, more than any other sport, is that on Saturday I can look across the aisle and you and I can have a differing opinion on, given if I was like a Michigan State fan, we can hate each other one day and then wake up the next day and rally together around the Lions team where we're all the fans of the
Typically,
NFL
the
team.
Lions create a lot of pain.
It is the most bizarre experience. I don't think that's something European fans would ever understand. You can go from hating the man next to you one day, literally the next day you're cheering for the same team. Like that's the thing about American football that's weird from Saturday to Sunday. And so I understand that there are hard feelings when it comes to Michigan, but this is the part where I talk about like the infatuation and almost the desperate tone that it has, because how upset people are about a simple picture of Derek Moore and Jimmy Rolder being in the same frame together. And it just so happens to be them going after a Michigan State player. And that spills over into this is intentional. And the Lions are doing this to prove a point.
It's probably the only photo they found. God, guys.
And that's like, it's like PTSD. It's like they're traumatized from, they're almost so embarrassed as to how their football program has looked over the last handful of years that any sort of slight insult or anything that could be taken as an insult immediately evolves and devolves into an emotional outlash and essentially just lies about these certain players. And we're not going to watch the Lions this year. Really? Like, what else do you have to watch? You don't have anything to watch on Saturday. I mean, I know I've been giving Pat Fitzgerald his props, but he hasn't proven anything yet. But the emotional breakdown from the fan base over a simple picture was it's just tacky. It's just weird to me.
Look, MSU fans will never be happy. They always got to bitch about something. They always, they're a delusional fan base that thinks their NBA prospects and their NFL prospects are so good. When MSU football was at its peak, they very rarely produced any NFL talent. Like Kirk Cousins, William Golston, I guess Le'Veon Bell for a couple of years. Outside of that, who did they have? Nothing really. You look at the NBA, they don't produce anything. The only reason Draymond Green is known for is because he was on one of the greatest teams of NBA history. If Draymond's not in the Warriors, Draymond Green's not in the league. Jaren Jackson's good, and then Miles Bridges is only ever in the news because he does stupid stuff all the time. But the MSU doesn't produce any pro talent. And I think what irritates most Michigan State fans is there is some sort of Michigan representation on every single Detroit team. Not Detroit City FC, but Detroit, the Big Four. You've got the Lions. Obviously, you got Derek Moore, Jimmy Rolder, and now you had Graham Glasgow last couple of years, and then they have Aiden Hutchinson. You go to the Lions, their captain, he's a Michigan guy, Dylan Larkin. I think Andrew Kopp is also from Michigan. I think there's a couple other Michigan guys on there. You go to the Pistons.
Tigers of Central Michigan.
Yeah, that too. Then you have, gosh, what's his name? I just had it, and then you mentioned Central Michigan.
Sorry.
Anyway, the Tigers, you got Chris Fetter, arguably the best pitching coach in all of baseball. Then you got CMU Love on there too. And then the other team, Pistons. You have Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson on there now. Then you had Tim Hardaway Jr. last year. So there is some sort of Michigan representation all over the place. And I think what irritates most Michigan State fans is they ain't got no pro prospects. Even though Michigan State, basketball is their sport, Michigan's got double the amount of NBA active players. And I would like to go to the flip side, maybe look if there's an Ohio State player, playing for Michigan. The issue with Ohio State players when the Lions draft them is they all suck. Jeff Okudah, trash. Taylor Decker was good. And I like Dylan Dingler. He's a Buckeye, and I like him. And he does a lot of good stuff for us. But then I look at Tyleik Williams, and he's trash. So, like, I just think it is. Michigan State fans, they just want to play the victim all the time. It's always someone else's fault. Little old Michigan State. We can't ever do anything right, this and that. Dude, you had $500 million donated to your program. You guys are fine. You guys just learn to be happy a little bit. Oh, I forgot to put this on social media. So I just want to mention something real quick before we get into question of the day. Remember the national champion in college football? The Indiana Hoosiers, and I said the weakest national champion of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, only 3 picks in the top 50. Meanwhile, Michigan, Ohio State, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs had way more than that. And most of their draft picks, only 8 in the NFL draft, and more than half of them were day 3 picks. I digress.
As much of a knock as you think that is on Curt Cignetti, I think it's actually
it's the Indiana fan base. It's the Indiana fan base.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it makes Cignetti look even better.
Just watch the draft. There's going to be we're going to have 4 first-rounders. You had 2. And the only reason you got the second one is because the Jets are dumb. And they traded up to get him. Omar Cooper ain't doing nothing.
I think it's a good look for Cignetti, though. I mean, it clearly is a better coach.
He won an Eddie. Obviously, it's not for Cignetti. It's the Indiana fan base that I have an issue with.
Yeah. No, I
the
know
Indiana fan base who thinks their team is the greatest thing ever. Guys, you struggled to beat a head coach that was DMing only fan models a couple years ago. That was your most impressive win that year, by the way. And everyone called me mad.
Let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day brought to you by Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 50% off that #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, why are the Thunder so unwatchable? Because, man, they piss me off.
Foul baiting, much like diving in the right spots in soccer, and I know we talk about this, if you sense any pressure in the box and you're losing possession, take a fall, because it matters a lot, and if you end up earning a PK, that could completely flip the game on its head. Foul baiting is something that has become a common cornerstone in the sport. You get someone off their feet, don't try to go around them to score. Go right into their chest so that you could draw the whistle. If someone bumps you, Hollywood, flop your way out of it. It's the brand of game. You can be good at drawing fouls, and that is to a certain extent, that is a skill. The only thing is, when does the NBA and when do the NBA refs start to finally figure that out and
they stop caring about offense so much?
Not allow foul baiting. Because that's all it is just if you don't have any options, if you just foul bait. And I get that SGA's ball handling skills are some of the best in the NBA, and we know this. So is he able to put guys in compromising positions? Yes, but does that mean you have to call everything? No, because if half, yeah, even when the announcers are watching back the replays and they're like, yeah, I honestly have no idea what they saw in that. There wasn't any contact. That's not something that I would ever call. Everybody in the building, including everybody watching, is all keying into the same thing. And that this is just getting ridiculous in a lot of ways.
I just got to say, it's a nice, thanks for LeBron for doing this, because it's such a player-oriented league now. We got to carry about this offense so damn much. Like, the thing that annoys me is the fact when, like, Devin Booker will do the same thing and get called an offensive foul on him, and then Shea will, like, do the same thing, and he gets the offensive call. I also hate the jumping into someone and then throwing up a shot like Chet Holmgren does. Like, it's so annoying. Yeah. And then the fact that Caruso goes to the ref and just starts bitching and complaining, dude. Like, Caruso, stop it, man. Stop it. You're the only reason you've won a ring is because of Shea and Jalen and Chet. Without them, you're nothing. Without them, you're literally nothing, Caruso. But this team is so loved by everyone. The NBA loves them so much. The refs love them so much that any little you breathe on them, it's a foul. Like, it's so dumb. And they are one of the reasons why I don't even tune into the NBA on a regular basis. If the Pistons were not good, I would never really watch the NBA. but the Pistons happened to be fake good this year in the regular season. So I was watching the NBA a little bit more to see, like, okay, well, how will the Pistons match up against this? Little did I know we're going to lose to the Magic in the first round anyway, so I probably just wasted all that time anyway. So,
yeah.
no.
Well, and I remember coming into the basketball season this year, and I think it's a COSIDA conference. So what that means, it's all the sports information directors, ADs from all the different levels. They all meet up, and there's a big meeting that's had because a lot of the decisions that in the NCAA, i.e., like consider like media timeouts, we have media TOs in the NAIA. So a lot of these rule changes and things that they do in the NCAA also affects the NAIA and all the different levels as well. So they'll have these meetings, right? And I remember talking to our head women's basketball coach about some of the things that they discussed about this year. And one of the things that they focused on was hand checking and how hand checking is being almost re-allowed in college basketball because they want to get away from, because it should. And they also want to promote more of a physical game, not to the extent of like what we saw with like people fighting each other, but like they want to bring back that physical element of what the game is. And if you look at Michigan and UConn in the national championship, like the amount of bodies that were hitting the floor all over the place, not everything was called. That's what college basketball is trying to bring back at all levels. You know, they want to bring back more of that physical game. And so I think that same conversation that they had at that COSIDA conference with all the college sports, they need to have that same conversation in the NBA about bringing back a game that allows more of that. Because the truth is, the playoffs used to be when refs would swallow the whistle. That's when the referees would almost not put the whistle away, but unless they were 100% damn sure that was a foul, they wouldn't blow it. Now, it has the way they ref it in the regular season. They ref it the same exact way in the postseason. And you just can't do that because it kills the product. And you're right. To your point, it doesn't make it even really an entertaining one to watch. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of amazing things in the playoffs, whatever, but there needs to be a almost turn back the clock move from the NBA the way that we've seen in college basketball, because obviously that Michigan UConn game was, despite how sloppy it was, and I think, you know, obviously dudes weren't hitting shots, but it creates a much more exciting product. And that's why people rally behind March Madness, probably, you know, a lot more than they even care to ever put on an NBA game.
It's just, I think like the NBA still gets a ton of views. And I think the reason for that is all the international fans, and they've done a really good job of promoting it. But I bet if you were to ask the, you know, Americans, there's a lot of people I know that don't even watch it anymore because of how unwatchable it is. And there's a couple other reasons why it's unwatchable, but that's the main reason, is that it's just, sorry, man. I go from watching, and even some people would get turned off from the NFL sometimes with certain hits, but I'm sorry. A flagrant foul is Isaiah Stewart just puts his arm up and it happens to catch the elbow of a player in the face. That's a flagrant foul? Dude, they used to just call common fouls. You tackle someone, and they're like, common foul, I guess. Like, and everything. And I'm so tired of this, too. I'm so tired of this. And I will say, I forget the guy who said it. Nick Wright, I think is his name. And I think he's one of the dumbest people out there. But he had a brilliant idea. He goes, you know how someone calls a timeout when they don't have it, a technical foul? The moment a player does this and you don't have any more challenges, technical foul. They'll stop doing it. That's a very good rule. But how many times do I got to see when a foul's not? It's the dumbest thing there is.
I also like,
which you might have to you might have to redo this as a goaltend, because obviously that's like the same thing. So we might have to like tweak that, what the signal is for a goaltend. But I'm so sick and tired of this every 2 seconds. Then it takes 30 seconds it takes like 30 minutes to review something. And then it's just going to be like what everyone can find in 30 seconds. But it's annoying.
And I also like Nick Wright's idea of letting the top 4 teams choose who they want to play in the playoffs. I like that idea too, because then maybe it would make the regular season worth playing, or maybe top 3, you know, because so then you actually get a choice in the matter. So anyways, it is. I
think just get rid of the play-in, to be quite honest with you. The play-in's stupid.
That too. But that'll wrap up episode 276 here on Inside the Game. Again, as always, National Soccer Network, as well as Sports Nation on social media. That's Sports with a Z. And until we talk to you guys tomorrow, so long, everybody.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This